Nova Guest List Podcast
with Kieran McGuinness.
The very best in indie, alternative and homegrown music from the seriously addictive Radio Nova.
Yeah, that is The Scratch on Radio Nova, and that is the brilliant Pullin' Teeth from their brand new album Pull Like a Dog, which came out a week or two ago, and they have that brilliant new album out. They have a big gig, Momentum Festival, Monday 4th of May, along with Clifford's and Modra Solic, and we're blessed to have the two lads from the band. We have Carl and Gaz from The Scratch. It's great to have you, boys. How does it feel to have Pull Like a Dog out?
Buzzing, yeah. Like Gaz said, we've been sitting on it for a while. You kind of forget that it's almost an album that people are going to listen to. You know, you're just you're slaving away at it for a while. Spuddy boy, John Spud Murphy, you have to give him a shout out. He did an awful lot of work in it. But then when it's released and you actually remember, like, oh, people are going to react to this or listen to it or playing it live and stuff, it's been great. So buzzing off it, buzzing to get it on the next tour now coming up. There's going to be a bunch of the new songs in the set, and we're all leathering them.
Yeah, great. Well, it feels like there's been a lot of changes, I suppose, but there's always been a lot of changes across, the Scratch's career, right back to previous incarnation and all the rest. So Gaz is in, there's a new producer in. Did it feel different going into the album?
I've done two albums with the lads you're doing with the Z team here, of course, but like
18.
The two albums, hell yeah, the two ones I've done, it kind of felt like almost going back to the roots a bit or something, or there's a little less, I don't want to say weight, like there wasn't a huge weight in Mind Yourself, but we were very like intuitive with this one, where Gaz, like you said, just came in, we were jamming almost immediately. That one, Pulling Teeth there that you played, like that, we kind of wrote that as a three-piece after the split with Geordie, and we had gone on a tour of America before Gary joined them. We had to do it as a three-piece, and we were buzzing with that song. Doc just started jamming it, and like immediately it was like, oh, there's something there. Gaz came in, we had about 3 or 4 more of those songs just kind of fall out of just jams. Some of the first jams we had with Gary, I think, was Roses and Poses, which is on the album, and stuff like that just felt like, oh, this is back to just 4 lads in a room. We were out in Kildare, you'd have a wee can in the evening and just jam away for a few hours, and yeah, there was really cool stuff happening. So it is a change, of course, and new energy and new direction, but in a lot of ways for me it kind of felt like coming back to the OG kind of buzz, like, let's not overthink this, let's just get it done.
Yeah, so was that intimidating, Gary, coming into like a settled group of mates, a settled way of doing things, or were you just like I need to make this work, I need to come in with my elbows,
No.
I like that.
Grand. No, like, to be honest, I've known Lango and Doc for years, many years. We were in bands back in the day. Well, I was in one band, they were in another band, and so I've known them for years. We used to hang out all the time and go drinking and stuff. So when they asked me to come on board, obviously it was something very different. I didn't think I'd be playing like metal songs on an acoustic guitar, and but I think the first couple of jams I just kind of fell into it a bit better, and I was a bit more at ease. And as Colt was saying, like, I think the first practice that we done, because we had a tour coming up, and then it was like we jammed 1 or 2 songs, then just started writing. It was like someone had a riff, and then the song was there an hour or 2 later. So it was quite a manic time, and I think back it was like a whirlwind, but it was amazing and really fulfilling and class. So there was like nerves and stuff like that, but I think overall it was quite good, and the lads were quite welcoming, kinda. So there was no HR department to give out.
It's gotten a bit thicker. Yeah, Gary exploded his. What did you do in Ali Pali? We were playing, sporting the drop kicks, and he tore something in your.
I split my calf completely in half.
The way he says it now, it's going to make it sound like we didn't have any sympathy for him.
You didn't.
Yeah, he split his wee calf in half, and he was moaning about it for the next 2 weeks on tour. Like,
sorry, yeah. Oh, that yeah. My leg was black. And
it was, yeah,
for 3 weeks, and so
yeah. Well, I mean, it's like when you come on as a sub and you get injured straight away. You're like, I'm not coming off. I'm going to play through this injury.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, that brings us very, very nicely into the next thing. So thematically, right across the album, there's a lot of body parts. There's hips and hands and toes and arses and balls and knees and eyes and hands and legs, right? In creativity, that's said to represent progress and knowing your direction.
Is that
What?
something?
Did you know that, or did you look that up? Did you know that?
Well, this is the thing that I do. I like to analyze.
So impressive, Kieran.
Thanks very much. So did you feel that? Did you feel that you went into this and there was a known where you were going with it, or were you feeling things out as you went?
I think it was feeling out as we went. I don't think there was a plan to kind of go. We want, like, we did go. Oh, I'm now even thinking of it. Like, as we were saying, the songs kind of did fall from the sky. We were just like jamming songs for the set, and then someone might have a riff or Cathal might play something there, and I was like, oh, what was that? And then we just there was no intention to sound a certain way. I know Lango's very he likes tempos. Obviously, he's a drummer, so he likes how the tempo of the album goes, so it kind of swings. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think?
It was like writing. I think for me, it was one of the funnest experiences I've done writing an album. Where writing all the songs, what is it? Write hot, edit cold. Kind of like all the songs came about in a really hectic time where, as had just joined, there's loads of stuff going on, like even personally in our own lives and touring, and it was just so mental that those like 10, I think we had 12 songs by the time we went in to record the album. Like they were just there, and we were still even figuring out little harmonies on this laptop back in Kildare. We'd go home in the evenings and me and Lango would be at the laptop like being like, that harmony wasn't right, we're gonna have to figure out something, or whatever. It was quite loose and free flowing there. And then as we were coming to the end of the album, then we started like, looking at track lists. And it's like Gaz is saying with tempos, Lango always has a pretty strong feel for like I guess the narrative or the arc, the plot of an album, where it should kick off, where it should mellow out. Those sort of things kind of reveal themselves, I guess, a bit more. But like in terms of progress as well, I guess I think we always want to progress as a band, even technically. Like recording Lango on two wooden boxes that he sits on has been like a quest, for since day one, to try and make it sound good. And he's always figuring out new stuff, new parts to it, new ways of recording. Spud had his own approach, we spent more time on that, and like there was a lot of experimenting and like that side of things. So I don't know, yeah, it feels like it's pretty unconscious. I'd say 90% of the scratch, 98% of the scratch is fairly unconscious stuff in terms of the writing, and I think that's pretty healthy.
Well, that's interesting then, because across the album there's a lot of reflection. There's a lot of kind of looking back and analysing things, from a lyrics perspective, like, Spacer, Hope All Is Forgiven, Mother of God. There's a little bit of like, should I have done things differently? How would I do things now? A little bit of regret. Maybe you lads didn't write the lyrics for those, but like, it does feel like peppered through the sort of, the scratch sound, there's this maturity coming in. And I guess it's something that you obviously embrace it.
Yeah, 100%. What did Lango said again? We're not spring chickens, we're summer chickens at this point, and I think the music is going to reflect that. We're going through a different phase in our life, than when the first album or the EPs were written. And I think he's reflecting that. He is an introspective person already, I would say Lango's a fairly deep thinker, already. And I guess maybe the space in the music is allowing more of that to come out. Earlier iterations of the music, wouldn't have fit right over the music, those thoughts or those kind of musings, I guess, or whatever. I guess the inner monologues are getting a bit louder, or those kind of things, But Lang's always been a thinker, even through the first records and the Mind Yourself and everything. There's much and all as he might not want you to ask him about it. Doing some thinking, like.
What would I be thinking?
So I want to ask you about Ring's End. I'm going to play that song in a second. But first, the Momentum show is coming up. It's very, very exciting. 1st of May. It's an amazing lineup. I can't wait to see what you have for it. Will you be playing songs like Ring's End? And can you tell us a little bit about that song before we play it?
Yeah, I'm sure we will be playing Ring's End at it. I hope so. Anyway, we've played it live a few times now, and it's always a nice part of the set. So yeah, the song Ring's End, the lyrics are actually from a very old poem that was written by Oliver St. John Gogarty. Long story short, my auntie was doing a thesis in literature, and she wrote a one-person play around his poems and short stories. And Oliver's son was there and loved it so much, gifted her the rights to some of these poems. And she came to me and said, would you put this to music? I was like, yeah, I'd absolutely love to. That's incredible. And then I actually spoke to Lango back then, well before there was any talks of me being in the band. And we were talking about the scratch and me doing something together with it. Never came about. And it's only when I joined the band that I kind of came up with the music, brought it to the lads. And that was another song that once I showed the lads these are the different parts that I'm vibing. It didn't take much for the song to be finished. And Lango came up with the melody. And as soon as he sang it, there was very little to be changed. I absolutely loved it. And then we were very lucky and fortunate that Susan O'Neill agreed to jump on and sing on that song as well. So yeah, it's incredible. And the cool little story about that is she was in Australia at the time when we asked her to sing on it. And when she was like, yeah, I'll do it, she actually just recorded it on her laptop mic. So there's no fancy studio work there. She just sang into her laptop, and that's what you're hearing on the album, which I absolutely love. She's incredible.
Yeah, well, it's a brilliant track. Gary and Cathal, the A-Team, thank you so much for chatting to us. What a pleasure.
Thanks, Kieran. Man, amazing questions, dude. I'm sorry I couldn't do more in the lyrics.
Okay, fair play to you. Well, I think you're amazing, Cathal.
Thanks,
The Scratch perform at the inaugural Momentum Festival, Ormore, County Galway on Monday, 1st of May, along with special guests Cliffords and Modra Solic. Let's play that brilliant track, Ring's End, and those amazing vocals, as we said, from Susan O'Neill. It's Nova.
The Nova Guest List Podcast with Kieran McGuinness. The very best in indie, alternative and homegrown music from the seriously addictive Radio Nova.